What really makes for a good life? A happy existence, a path with meaning. Sometimes the deepest answers, well, they come from really old places, ancient texts. And today we're doing a deep dive into one of those, the Dukanipāta. Now, this text, it's all about pairs, illuminating big truths by looking at two concepts side by side. It feels really direct, surprisingly practical, actually. A guide to cause and effect, almost like a personalized blueprint for well-being, maybe.
Exactly. And our mission here for you listening is to pull out the really vital insights from these teachings. We want to see how, pretty simple choices, simple qualities can lead to vastly different places, both now and, well, later. Think of it as a bit of a shortcut, maybe, to getting informed about some foundational ideas for a good life.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The Dukanipāta starts with suffering and happiness.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that. What two things, if they're missing, lead to this life of vexation, distress, feverishness, and even a bad outcome after death?
It's incredibly clear. First, a lack of restraint over the six senses. That's eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and crucially, the mind. Second, not being moderate in eating. Immoderation.
Okay.
The idea here is that suffering isn't just external stuff happening to you, it's an internal state. The text uses this image of burning, a body and mind burning, when we don't control our senses or what we consume.
Like a constant overwhelm.
Precisely, like your mind just constantly grazing on social media or news or whatever with no filter, or the body just consuming without thought. That's the feverishness it talks about.
That burning image is powerful, it really sticks with you. So the flip side, what leads to the cool state, the peace, the happiness without all that agitation and a good destiny?
Well, as you'd expect, it's the direct opposite. Restraint over their same six senses and moderation in eating.
Simple, but profound.
It is. And what's fascinating here is how directly these ancient teachings connect our inner feeling, our future, to things we do every single day. How we use our senses, how we eat. It's not some abstract philosophy. It's practical. Manage your input, sensory, physical, and you directly shape your peace of mind, your path forward. It's about building calm from the inside.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about regret or torment, as the text puts it? It talks about two kinds of people here. Tell us about the one who experiences this torment.
Right, the tapaniya. This person, the Dukanipāta says, is someone who's done wrong things. Bad conduct, bodily, verbal, mental. They've piled up demerit, as it's termed. And importantly, they haven't done the good things, the wholesome actions.
And they're stuck.
In a way, they're tormented by what they did do the bad stuff and also by what they didn't do the good they missed. And this path, the text says very clearly, leads towards suffering, towards hell realms. It's a mental anguish born from looking back at your choices.
Okay, so what about the opposite, the person who feels no torment?
Oh.
The atapaniya.
That's the person who has done good. Good conduct, body, speech, mind. They've cultivated merit, avoided evil. So they look back and feel no torment about their actions. There's no nagging regret because they know they acted skillfully, wholesomely, and this path leads towards well-being, towards, heaven realms, peace of mind, essentially.
Right, so we see the long-term outcomes tied to actions, but then the text seems to narrow it down further.
Yeah.
What two things does it identify as the immediate causes, the things that point you straight towards suffering or happiness?
Yes, it does. It says two things lead directly to suffering. Bad moral conduct, papakana, and wrong view, papikaya karihiri.
Ah, so it's conduct in Jew.
Exactly. It's what you do and how you see things, your ethical behavior and your understanding of reality.
And for happiness.
The opposite again, good moral conduct, patakana, and right view, patakaya karihira.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's not just the actions themselves, but the whole perspective behind them. Your worldview shapes your actions, and your actions reinforce your worldview. It's this interplay. If you think, for instance, that your actions don't really matter, well, you might act carelessly, right? And that view dictates where you end up. They're two sides of the same coin.
That really hits home how our inner map directs the journey. Okay, moving towards liberation or awakening. Yeah. What enables this or disables it? What qualities does the Dukanipāta say are essential?
Well, it's pretty blunt. If you lack zeal or ardor, like an inner energy, a drive, and conscientiousness, or moral dread, basically, a healthy respect for ethical principles.
Okay.
And on top of that, if you're lazy, low effort, shameless, disrespectful, then the text says you're just unable to achieve awakening.
So it requires real effort,
Yeah.
active engagement.
Absolutely. Spiritual growth isn't passive. It needs that inner fire, that sense of purpose, that self-respect, pushing you to overcome your own inertia and cultivate the good stuff. Without that drive and, frankly, that moral compass, the path just isn't really open to you.
Right. And the text also clarifies the true purpose of the holy life, the Brahmacharya. It pushes back against some common ideas. What's it not for? And what is it actually for?
Yeah, this is important. It says clearly it is not for tricking people or flattery or trying to get gains like profit, honor, fame. It's not about looking good or getting stuff.
So what's the real point?
The actual purpose is internal. It's for restraint sattva and for abandonment pahana, abandoning mental muck, basically. Greed, hatred, delusion.
Getting rid of the bad stuff.
Yes, and also for direct knowledge, abhinya, and full comprehension, parinya, really understanding those defilements, seeing them clearly, and that leads to Nibbāna, the end of suffering.
So it's an inside job.
Totally. It's an internal journey of cleaning house and seeing things clearly. Not an external show or a way to get ahead in the world. It's about dismantling the roots of your own suffering.
That connects to something else beautiful you mentioned from the text, experiencing joy by being stirred by things that should stir you. What does that mean practically, and how does it link to effort?
It means becoming sensitive to what really matters. Moments of insight, maybe seeing compassion in active, feeling clarity, letting those things actually land, resonate inside you. It's like developing an inner compass that reacts well to the good stuff and feels aversion to the bad. Like, if you see real kindness, does it genuinely move you, inspire you? Or if you see suffering, does it prompt a response?
I see.
That kind of sensitivity, that being genuinely stirred, when you combine it with proper, diligent effort, well, that becomes the fuel to keep going.
So it prompts a question for us listening.
Definitely. What are the things that genuinely stir you? What moves you towards a path that feels more wholesome, maybe more joyful? It's worth reflecting on.
Yeah, that really is. Okay, let's shift again. The text talks about the Buddha's own reflections. What two main thoughts did he often contemplate?
It highlights two core themes in his thinking. First, security, or maybe harmlessness is a better word. The thought of not harming any living being, whether they seem strong or vulnerable, just universal non-harming.
Okay, harmlessness, and the second.
Seclusion, or solitude, paviveko vitako. But it's not just being alone. It's about abandoning unwholesome things, letting go of the mental clutter, the negativity.
So those two thoughts were foundational for him.
Absolutely. You can see his whole teaching flowing from them. The commitment to do no harm and the dedication to purify the mind by letting go. They're the bedrock.
And that naturally leads to how he taught others.
Right.
How to deal with their own inner obstacles. The text gives two key instructions for seeing and dealing with evil or unwholesome states.
Yes, very direct. First, see evil as evil. It's not just labeling, but really seeing its harmful nature, its negative results for you and others, deeply recognizing it.
And the second part?
Having seen evil as evil, become dispassionate towards it, be freed. Tata nibindata virajata vimukata.
So seeing leads to letting go.
That's the insight. Real freedom isn't about fighting or suppressing. It's about clarity. When you truly deeply see the unsatisfactory nature of something harmful, you naturally lose your taste for it. You become dispassionate. And in that space, freedom arises. Recognition, dispassion, liberation, that's the sequence.
And this ties into ignorance and knowledge. The text draws a direct line there, doesn't it? How unwholesome or wholesome states arise.
It does. It says ignorance of yija, not truly understanding things, is the starting point for all the bad stuff. And right after ignorance comes shamelessness, ahirka, and lack of moral dread, anattapa. No sense of conscience, no fear of consequences.
And that combo is...
the root of misery, basically. Leads to bad outcomes. But flip it. Knowledge, vijja, true insight, that's the precursor for wholesome states. And that's followed by shame, hiri, and moral dread, atapa, a working conscience.
Which leads to...
no letting go. Abandoning craving, greed, ignorance. It's like our fundamental understanding or lack of it kicks off a chain reaction, either more suffering or more freedom.
It's in this context, then, that the text talks about the two bright qualities that protect the world. What are those, and how do they function socially?
Those are hiriri and atapa, again, shame and moral dread, that inner sense of conscience and the healthy fear of doing wrong and facing the results.
And they protect the world. How so?
The text argues that without them, society would basically fall apart. It would become like animals, with no respect for relationships, mother, aunt, teacher's wife, it says, no boundaries, chaos. But with them, these social distinctions, this order, respect, it's all maintained. So what's fascinating is how these very personal, internal, moral compasses are seen as the protectors of civilization itself.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not just nice personal traits. They're the glue holding society together, stopping it from dissolving into just raw self-interest.
That's a really striking idea. So switching back to the individual path, what happens if someone lacks noble wisdom? Ariyapanyaya, what are the consequences described?
Well, it's pretty clear. They suffer in this life that vexation, distress, feverishness comes back again, and they're heading for difficult rebirths. And a key reason is they mistakenly cling to name and form as if it's ultimately real and lasting.
Can you unpack name and form quickly?
Sure. Name is basically the mental side, thoughts, feelings, perceptions. Form is the physical, our body, the world we sense. So name and form is our entire moment-to-moment experience. Without wisdom, we grasp onto this constantly changing flow as if it's solid, permanent me, mine. And that grasping, based on ignorance, is a root cause of suffering.
Okay, so conversely, the benefits of having noble wisdom.
Oh, they're immense. You live happily without that inner turmoil, and you're heading for good rebirths. Wisdom is called supreme. It allows deep insight, deep penetration into how things really are. It leads to fully understanding the end of this cycle of birth and becoming. The text even says gods and humans look up to the wise.
It's not just book smarts then.
Not at all. It's a profound, transformative understanding that cuts through illusion, dismantles suffering at the root, and brings this unshakable inner peace.
This is where it gets really mind-bending, I think. The text talks about the unborn, unbecome, unmade, unconditioned. Ajatai abata akata asakata. This is Nibbāna. Why is its existence so critical?
Because, as the text argues, if only the conditioned existed, the born, the become, the made, there'd be no way out. That conditioned world is, by its very nature, impermanent, subject to aging, sickness, death, fundamentally stressful, dukkha.
Right.
But because the unborn, unmade does exist, escape is possible. There is an alternative to the endless cycle.
And how does it contrast the two, the conditioned versus the unconditioned?
It paints a stark picture. The conditioned is fragile, fleeting, ultimately not worth getting attached to. The unconditioned, Nibbāna, is described as peace, beyond logic, permanent, sorrowless, stainless, the end of suffering, the calming of all mental activity, pure happiness. It's the ultimate refuge, the complete freedom.
To make that a bit more concrete, maybe, the text then explains two Nibbāna elements. Nibbāna tuya. Can you break this down?
Yes. First is soparisesa Nibbāna, Nibbāna with a remainder. This is the Nibbāna experienced by an arahant, a fully liberated person while still alive.
Okay.
Their five senses are still working. They still experience pleasant and unpleasant things through the body, but the inner defilements, lust, hatred, delusion are completely destroyed. That destruction is Nibbāna experienced here and now.
And the second type?
That's anupadisa Nibbāna, Nibbāna without remainder. This happens for the arahant at the moment of physical death. All feelings, all conditioned experience just cools down, ceases completely. It's the final end of all becoming, the complete cessation.
So liberation has these two aspects.
Exactly. Which raises a really interesting question for reflection. What does it mean that freedom can be experienced within life, with all its messiness, and also as a state completely beyond it? It's not just an afterlife thing.
Yeah, it emphasizes the here and now possibility. So given that's the goal, what practices does the Dukanipāta actually encourage to get there?
It points to a few key things. Delighting in seclusion, by Salanarma, really dedicating yourself to inner mental calm, Shakasamatha, not giving up on meditation, Larna, developing insight, Vipassana, and seeking out quiet places, empty dwellings, for practice.
And the result of doing these things?
The text says someone committed to this can expect one of two outcomes. Either full awakening, direct knowledge in this very life, or if there's still some subtle clinging left, becoming a non-returner, meaning they won't be reborn in lower realms and are certain to reach Nibbāna eventually. The key is that consistent, focused inner work.
It also talks about the benefits of training, Sikanisasa. What does living with those benefits look like?
It means you become supreme in wisdom. You embody liberation. Mindfulness is central to your life. It's about fully integrating the path into your being.
And the result is the same.
Yes, the same two potential fruits. Direct knowledge now, or non-returning. It shows that dedicated training, really cultivating these moral and mental qualities, isn't just self-improvement, it fundamentally shifts your consciousness towards these states of freedom.
And vigilance, Jagaro. How crucial is that? It sounds like it's really emphasized.
Hugely important. The text urges us, be vigilant, be mindful, clearly comprehending, collected, joyful, serene, and able to recognize wholesome states when they arise at the right time.
It sounds very active.
It is. It even says vigilance is better than sleep, that there's no fear for the vigilant person because they dispel the darkness of ignorance.
So it's not passive waiting.
Not at all. What's fascinating is this constant stress on active, consistent engagement with your own mind. Moment-to-moment awareness, actively cultivating the good, that's the engine of progress.
The text doesn't shy away from warnings either. It describes two types of people heading for lower realms, Aprayika and Naraika. Who are they?
Right. First, someone who pretends to be celibate, living the holy life, but is actually breaking those vows. A spiritual hypocrite, essentially. A brahmachari panyu.
Okay. And the second?
Someone who attacks a genuinely pure celibate person with a baseless accusation, slandering someone who is truly practicing well.
And it uses strong language about the first one, right?
Extremely strong. It says it would be better to swallow a red-hot iron ball than to eat food offered in good faith while being immoral and unrestrained yourself. It really highlights the seriousness of hypocrisy, especially in a spiritual context. It poisons everything.
That's a powerful image. Then it tackles two common wrong views, dehi, that lead people astray. What are those misunderstandings?
The first is called pavarama, delighting in existence, clinging to becoming. These are people who just love the idea of continuing on, being reborn, existing.
So when they hear about Nibbāna.
Exactly. When they're taught about the cessation of becoming, their minds just resist. They can't accept it, don't settle into it. They fall short, the text says, missing the point of liberation.
And the other wrong view.
That's kind of the opposite extreme. Vibhavas abhidandanti, delighting in non-existence or annihilationism. These people are disgusted by existence and love the idea that death is just a complete end. Poof, nothing.
They want obliteration.
Right. And the text says they overrun the mark. They also misunderstand the nature of freedom. So both extremes, desperately clinging to life or desperately wishing for utter non-existence, are seen as rooted in misunderstanding.
So how does the seeing one, the kakumanto, approach this differently?
The seeing one is the person who sees reality as it is, sees what has come to be as it has come to be. No adding, no subtracting, no desperate clinging, no wishing for it all to end.
Just clear perception.
Clear perception of its nature, impermanent, unsatisfactory, not self. And having seen that reality directly, they practice for dispassion towards it, for losing interest in it, for its cessation.
And that leads to liberation.
Yes. This person is freed by seeing reality clearly. That seeing exhausts the craving for becoming, for more existence. And the text says they do not come to further rebirth. It's liberation through wisdom, through direct insight, not through philosophical belief.
Wow, what an incredible journey through these pairs in the Dukanipāta.
Yeah.
We've gone from, really basic things like controlling our senses and eating moderately, all the way to the weight of our actions, our views, the true aim of a spiritual path needing that zeal and clarity.
Right, and the Buddha's own focus on harmlessness and letting go, plus those bright qualities, shame and moral dread, acting as protectors for everyone.
And then diving into noble wisdom, the nature of the unconditioned, Nibbāna, both here and beyond.
And the practices needed seclusion, training, that constant vigilance, while steering clear of hypocrisy and those extreme views of either eternalism or annihilationism.
It really hammers home that core message, doesn't it? Our choices, our actions, how we see things, that they have real consequences right now and down the line for our own well-being, our own destiny.
Absolutely. It shows how deeply interconnected our inner life and outer path truly are, according to these ancient insights.
So thinking about all these powerful pairs we've discussed, maybe a final thought for you listening. Which two qualities, or maybe two choices, in your own life right now feel like they hold the most power, the most influence in shaping your own experience of suffering or happiness right here, right now, and maybe even beyond?